Greeks are poets, Greeks are fighters, and Greeks are lovers. We do all three well, and sometimes we do all three together. The first man I loved was called Spiros. He was extremely handsome, extremely seductive. He was strong, he was tall, he loved the people of Athens, he loved his wife and cheated on her, he loved his son and take care of them, and he had a passion for me. It made my childhood a very, very happy one. Spiros was my grandfather. He was also mayor of Athens for 30 years. And this street, Spiros Merkuris, is named after him. If I have no other record of achievement, I have one that will stand forever. No child in any school system, anywhere, would possibly compile a greater number of zeros than I did. School was a never-ending agony. Thank God for Greece. I was the exception. Greeks are good students. They learn to think and they learn to dance and to fight if they have to. It was the students of Athens who in November 1973 barricaded themselves in the Polytechnic, and after a 36-hour battle with the tanks of the junta helped to bring about liberty. Now we will do something very dangerous. A drive through Athens. You will see. The Russians play roulette with pistols. We do it with automobiles. Costa is my faithful, adored, stubborn driver. Inevitably, he takes the longest route to cover the shortest distance. I'm sure he does so just to provoke me. If you ask Costa, he's not driving an automobile. He believes he's driving a chariot. He's a terrible chauffeur, you know. Από εκείνη τη μεριά. Δεν μπορεί να αλλάξει. Εκεί. Θα τρακάρω. Θα τρακάρω. He's a good chauffeur. Κόκκινο θα περάσω. Πάμε, κόκκινο θα περάσω. Shut up in Greek. Θα αργήσει. Κοίταξε. Σε όλους τους πανεπιστημίους. Θα δει αυτή είναι η two watermelons don't fit under the same arm. But in Athens, which only 60 years ago had 400,000 people, today has to embrace nearly 4 million. Many were farmers, the soil not always rich, governments often neglectful, and school facilities meager. So they came to Athens in the hope of a better life. It was a magnet for all those who were starving physically and spiritually. After all, Athens had better schools, theaters, and entertainment, as well as better job opportunities. Athens is like a great mother who opens herself to Greeks from every part of the country. Even though she's already stretched beyond what is physically bearable, in her heart, Athens has still room for one more Greek. We call the Acropolis the Holy Rock. It was built 500 years before Christ. People from all the world flood to touch it, to see it.
So you can understand from what distance they brought the pieces of mob to build the buildings of the Acropolis in the 5th century BC.
もうちょっとまで行きましたら、我々がちょっと有名なこの神殿の有名なアクロポリスですね。
For 2,500 years, the Parthenon has given the world a symbol of the glory of Greek civilization. I am not one of those who cherish the past so much that they forget the present. But when I come up here, I am embraced by the past. Here, there's a sense of balance and beauty, and this harmonious marriage of art and nature exhilarates. They say that Athens was named after the goddess Athena, who cast her spear into the holy rock of the Acropolis and made an olive tree sprout from it. The tree that symbolized peace and productivity. Still others claim that the word Athens comes from the Homeric enikothe, which means I have climbed. So Athens is a city on a hill. These days, Athens doesn't sit on a hill. It is a valley in which there are few gardens in which children can play, and few trees in which birds can sing. And in my own constituency, we are being stifled by pollution. In these poor sections of Piraeus, I spend much of my time working, so that the children may one day breathe fresh air, so that working mothers may have a daycare center where they can leave their babies, and so that the old people may find some shade where they can rest after toiling for half a century. So that, me too, a citizen of this 5,000-year-old city, when I go to bed, I can say, I tried my best. Απ' το παραθύρο μου στέλνω 1, 2 και 3 και 4 φιλιά που φτάνουν στο λιμάνι 1 και 2 και 3 και 4 πουλιά. Πως θα ήθελα να έχω 1 και 2 και 3 και 4 παιδεία Σαν θα μεγαλώσουν όλα θα γίνουν λεβέντες για χάρη του Πειραιά. Όσο κι αν ψάξω δεν βρίσκω άλλο λιμάνι, τρέλη να με έχει κάνει όσο το Πειραιά. Όταν βραδιάζει τραγούδια παραδιάζει και τις πένιες του αλλάζει, γέμιζει από παιδιά. Ήταν ωραία εποχή. 20 χρόνια έχω περάσει από τότε. 20. Μάνος Χατζηδάκης writes the songs that Greece sings. Εμείς δεν αλλάξαμε και τόσο. His Never on Sunday is a song the whole world sings. Το παράθυρο μου στάνωνα 1, 2 και 3 και 4 φύλλα που φτάνουν στο λιμάνι 1 και 2 και 3 και 4 φύλλα. Θα θέλα να έχω 1 και 2 και 3 και 4 παιδιά. Σαν θα μεγαλώσουν όλα να γίνουν λεβέντες για χάρη του Πειραιά. Όσο κι αν ψάξω δεν βρίσκω άλλο λιμάνι, τρέλη να με έχει κάνει όσο το Πειραιά. Όταν βραδιάζει τραγούδια παραδιάζει και τις πένιες του αλλάζει, γεμίζει από παιδιά. Every time I return to the port of Piraeus, I feel a bit like Ulysses when he returned to Ithaca. Even where there is no one on the docks to wait for me with a bouquet of roses, I feel a certain tenderness. I feel for this place a sense of security. This is where I belong. These are the people who elected me to Parliament. We share the same fight. We are friends. Something about Greeks that is rather special. Their songs often deal with hardships and injustices, but many of them are written in bright, even gay rhythms. What emerges is a defiance of hardship and and it all comes out as a Greek, we shall overcome. In the shade of the Acropolis, a few meters away from the little Byzantine church of Kapnikarea, and next to an Arabic mosque, is Monastiraki, a place that breathes, yells, and sells everything imaginable.
Τα βάλαμε πιο μισή και λέγεται 250 παρακαλώ, για λέγε κι εσύ. 5 χιλιάρικα και λέγεται με πιο μισή. Και τα λεπτά στο χέρι. Για σας βάλιαξα με άλλη φωτογραφία από εδώ, άλλες από εκεί. 5
Here, the centuries and the antiques meet. The rich and the poor meet, all looking for bargains.
Ελληνικά, δημοτικά, λαϊκά, ποντιακά και κριτικά τραγούδια.
And what happens here is classic. Foreign tourists are persuaded to buy a komboloi that you call worry beads, and thus they feel a little Greek. As for the Greek customer, what he wants is to buy an American pair of jeans or a second-hand Japanese camera. The language of commerce is universal, but more persuasive in Greek. Ah, the Greek language, how well it suits me. He taught me so many lovely words. Παλικάρι μου, my brave one. Θάλασσα, sea. Ουρανός, sky. Μάτια μου, my eyes. Αγάπη μου, my love. This is where Socrates walked with his students. They plied him with questions, and always he answered with more questions. Within 16 years, 2 Nobel Prizes have been awarded to Greek poets, to George Seferis and to Odysseus Elitis in 1979. Also, 2 Lenin Prizes have gone to Greek poets, Varnelis and Rizos. How can one explain the extraordinary phenomenon that this small country has produced so many important poets, Solomos, Sikelianos, Kavafi and Calvo? In trying to give a reason, some speak of the immortality of the ancient Greek language, of the cultivation of poetry, and of the wealth of the poetic tradition in my country. There may all be good explanation, but there is something else, something that doesn't fit into a theory, and that is the fact that in Greece everything leads to poetry. The moon, the sun, the lullabies that mothers sing to their children, the old women's dirges, as well as the sea and the rocks and the mountains of Attica are all full of poetry. If you ever find yourself in Athens or in Delphi or on the islands, you will see what I mean. I love this little church. It's not architecturally important, but it moves me. Humble St. Theodore has insisted on existing for 930 years now, in spite of the drive of technology. If it was up to those who are responsible for city construction, not only this little Byzantine church, but also other beautiful places would be torn down so that some wretched apartment building would be raised on that valuable land. For Athens produces not only great poets like Elytis and Seferis, but also a special breed of builders whose frightful creations are priced at many, many millions. These builders have let construction get out of hand, so that many of the fabulous neoclassical buildings of Athens, those which reflected the light and the color of the city, have been torn down in order to build in their place inhuman cement cages. But because I am not a pessimist, even with these cages, I believe that Athens, my Athens, has great, great charm, and I am not in despair for the future. Plaka is the oldest part of Athens. It is at the foot of the Acropolis. Just to walk in Plaka is to feel its history. In this area, where the streets are narrow and the houses are within kissing distance of each other, my first movie Stella was made 23 years ago. Stella was beautiful, and she was a singer in a taverna. She loved a man, she was happy to give herself to him, but he wanted marriage, and she didn't like that at all. Marriage for Stella meant the surrender of her freedom. In those days in Greece, if a girl was unmarried at the age of 21, she was wept over as an old maid. So to make a film about a girl like Stella meant exposing yourself to a good deal of anger. The film shocked the church. The priests saw me as an evil spirit who wanted to tear down the foundations of the family. Some of them even wanted to excommunicate me. But that was yesterday. Today, many women do not limit their ambitions to marriage and childbearing. But my grandmother, had she seen Stella, would have been shocked. My grandmother taught me to be a cultivated and charming hostess. And Spiros, my grandfather, taught me I was a genius and I could have governed Greece if only I had been born a boy. There are, of course, all kinds of women in this city, as there are in every other city of the world. But the women of Athens have a special quality visible to those who have eyes to see it. When I was in exile, I felt a great nostalgia for Greece. I became so obsessed with all things Greek that people started calling me a professional Greek. I didn't mind it at all. When I'm away, the national anthem can make me cry. You see how ridiculous I am?
Πάρθηκε απόφαση κατά πλειοψηφία να ζητήσουμε.
On the 28th day of October 1940, Hitler's partner Mussolini attacked Greece and demanded surrender. The answer of the Greek people was όχι. Όχι in Greek means no.
Ζητήσαμε την αποχώρησή τους.
Ever since, Ohi Day has been celebrated as a national holiday.
Ως εκ τούτου, εορτασμός.
History records that all through the Nazi occupation, the resistance of the Greek people was valiant. And yet here the authorities would obstruct our celebrating. They take the strange position of not recognizing the national resistance. Sadly, the authorities consider that only those who share their political opinions have the right to commemorate the occasion. But they couldn't stop me from speaking.
Όταν επιτρέπουν μόνο σε σώματα ασφαλείας να καταθέσουν στεφάνι εδώ πέρα στους νεκρούς μας της 28ης Οκτωβρίου. Το ΠΑΣΟΚ αποσύρεται και ως Κεντρική Επιτροπή πρέπει να πάμε να αποτάξουμε κάτω για αυτή την άδικη μεταχείριση της αστυνομίας, του εισαγγελέα και του κυβέρνηση.
And here, in my own constituency, we come full circle. The very men who deprived me of my citizenship and declared me a non-Greek lie behind those walls. When the Honda called me a non-Greek, I said, I was born Greek, I should die Greek. Those bastards, they were born fascist, they will die a fascist. I believe that this dictatorship has left many, many wounds in the Greek people. And I hope that they will stay behind those walls all their lives. Because a dictatorship is an humiliation for the Greek people, is an humiliation for the Greek soul. And I am not for the people that I forget, and I hope that the Greeks will never forget this humiliation. My party is PASOK, that stands for the Pan-Hellenic Socialist Movement. We often get together, we sing, we dance, we discuss the issues of the day, and we raise a little money. We believe in our future. We are optimists. Our truth is optimism.
Ανοίγοντας τις πόρτες του κινήματος για τις εγκλωβισμένες μέσα στη δεξιά λαϊκές μάζες που δεν τις ανήκουν ταξικά.
Ours is the youngest party in Greece, perhaps in Europe.
Κουράστηκε πια η δεξιά να χτυπάει το λαό.
And in a very short space of time, we have become a major political force.
Για να ρίξουμε τη δεξιά, για να φέρουμε το λαό με το Πασόκ στην εξουσία. Εδώ και τώρα. Το μπορούμε. Λαός, Πασόκ, εμπρός για εξουσία.
Her name is ΖΟΗΣ. We adore her voice and her repertoire of traditional Greek music. This song goes back to our very roots. This is the first cemetery of Athens. I think it's very beautiful. And I dream of being buried here with my grandfather and my father. And here is the sleeping beauty of Κ.λ.π. Everybody admires that, and Κ.λ.π too. He was a great sculptor. And here is lying a hero of our resistance during the dictatorship, Alekos Panagoulis. It was he who was ready to give up his life to kill the dictator Papadopoulos. Later, he died in a most curious car accident. This is my mother's grave. She was beautiful, she was young, and marvelous company to me. I will never forget her. My mother died in Athens in 1972 when I was in exile and was forbidden to set foot in Greece. I heard of my mother's death from my husband who was then in New York. I was in Italy. The terrible news crushed me. I must go to Athens, I say to my husband and my brother. Both of them had been accused of terrorism by the junta and had also been forbidden to enter Greece. The three of us went to Athens in defiance of the junta. The dictators, you see, were afraid that if we were arrested at the airport and not allowed to attend the funeral, there would be worldwide publicity against them. So we were allowed to enter the city, but only for 6 hours. Those were the years when the people of Greece would use any opportunity especially a funeral to express their opposition to the tyrants. Some 200 people came to that private affair, mostly people of the theater and the arts, and politicians released from jail, and of course many informants and police, about 200 of them. The photographers were eager for me to shed some tears, but I wouldn't cry. I didn't want the colonels to see my suffering. One of the people at the funeral was an eccentric woman called Marika. In better days, she would send me red carnation whenever I gave a performance. Now she was throwing flowers to me, ignoring the police, and yelling at the top of her voice. That was Marika, the woman, the brave woman with the red carnations. I became a deputy of the Socialist Party in the Greek Parliament in November in 1977. For me it was a triumph and a great emotion winning my first election, especially as I received 51% by votes from women. I believe that the people of Piraeus were honoring my struggle against the dictatorship and not Mελινα Μερκουρη, the actress. I will never abandon those people. I am committed to them. I want to fight for them here in the Parliament, in the press, on the street, and I shall always feel proud, as I do now, when they come to me with their problems as old friends, calling me warmly Μελινα. Just Μελινα, and never Miss Mercury. Andreas Papandreou, he's the leader of our party. He knew the dictator prisons, and he also knew how to defy them. And what are today your aspirations?
Well, you know, those 6 years in exile gave us a chance to look at Greece and its problems a bit farther away. It led us to conclusions, I think both you and me and others, that the struggle for democratic rule in Greece, genuine democratic rule, is a very long-run affair. We understood, as we had not in the past, that popular sovereignty and democracy cannot have sound foundations in Greece unless Greece first becomes independent and self-reliant. We understood that the 7 years of dictatorship in Greece were deeply linked up with mechanisms of the CIA and NATO.
And Cyprus.
And Cyprus, of course, in '74 was a victim of the same forces that we had been victim of in '67 to '74. So that while the joy was great that we were back, you remember that?
Yes.
The joy was great.
The feelings were mixed.
The feelings were mixed because we had a deeper understanding of the problems we would face and the radical nature of the changes that would have to be made if Greece were to be, in the long run, a country with popular sovereignty and democratic rule.
This monastery of Kessariani in the hills about Athens is holy, not only because it was a place of worship, but because many brave Greeks died near here. This earth is sacred. It has been drenched with the blood of hundreds of brave young men who gave their lives fighting against fascism and Nazism. On the 1st of May in 1944, 200 brave young men were executed. They were not the first nor the last. Among them was Spilios Ambelogiannis, a 20-year-old who found time before he was shot to write a note. He pinned it to his jacket and threw it out into the street. The message said, "This is how the honorable Greeks die, proud. Long live freedom. Passerby, please take this coat to the above address. It's the last wish of a man who knew how to die." Μιλάνε για καιρούς δοξασμένους και πάλι αναμίγαλες θα γυρέψουμε βέρσες απ' το μπακάλι. Μιλάνε για του έθνους ξανά την τιμή. Bertolt Brecht wrote a poem that gave heart to all in the struggle against the Hitler tyranny. For the 80th anniversary of his birth, we created an evening in the theater called Homage to Brecht. Thanos Mikrutsikos put to music a lovely Brecht poem called Anna, Don't Cry. Anna, Mingeles, Εμένα, δεν με βάζουν στο χέρι ο στράτος. Ξεκίνα, Άννα μην κλαις, αν γυρίσω ξανά. Θα ακολουθώ όλες τις σημαίες, ο στρατός ξεκίνα. Μιλάνε για το έθνος ξανά την τιμή. Μην κλαις, στο ντουλάπι δεν έχει ψυχά I would like to tell you a short story as we near the end of this journey through Athens. 160 years ago, while the Turks were besieged by the Greeks on the Acropolis, they ran out of lead for their bullets and so began destroying the ancient columns of the Parthenon in order to take out the metal that runs through the center of them. The Greeks saw what was happening and sent a message to the Turks to stop destroying the columns. If you need lead, we will send you some. And they did. That is how much our ancestors loved this city and its treasures. And I love it too. But I don't only see the ancient ruins, I also see an eternally beating heart, a heart that beats stronger today than ever before. I love this city. For a while, I had to be away from it, but I hope never again. Athens may at times break your heart, but no other city has the power to move me to tears and laughter at the same time. This is my city, and this is where I will stay forever. I belong here. You understand, my friends?